Hey guys, welcome back to the BMW Blog YouTube channel and welcome to a new video with the BMW iX. But today there is a twist to this review because I have with me here a Tesla Model Y and also one of my oldest friends, Chris. So let me tell you how this video will go today. We're gonna hop in the BMW iX first. Chris will drive the car. He's gonna tell me how it feels, especially as far as the quality of the car and the driving experience. And then I'm gonna hop behind the wheel of the Model Y and tell you also my experience with that car, because of course I've spent quite some time with the iX, so I'm curious to see how the Model Y compares to this premium BMW. So with that being said, let's go for a drive. All right, so here we go. First things first, we're gonna be driving the BMW iX. Actually, Chris will, and I'm just here to observe and listen to his impressions of the car. So tell me first of all, how does the car feel? First impressions, then we can get into other technical things.
I mean, we got all these cars in front of us. Oh, whoa. Does it make a noise when I press
it does.
the
So it has the
nice.
specific noise
nice.
pack. It's called an iconic sound pack, and essentially different modes have different noises. So you can actually go right now into this mode and I can put it into the sport mode. And now it's gonna make a completely different sound when you drive the car basically.
Wow, and is that, you can hear that outside too?
You can hear outside. Now the outside's got a different noise for the pedestrians, but it's just inside basically.
Yeah, so I get how car enthusiasts are like probably liking this. This is pretty cool. I don't mind having that in my Tesla. It's just
yeah, I'm not sure if Tesla has it or not honestly, but yeah, this one was actually developed by Hans Zimmer. He's an Oscar-winning composer, and he developed the sound pack for the car. How does the steering wheel feel like? Does it feel like easier to drive than the Model Y? Because this is a little bit of a bigger car.
I can't tell really. Like it's driving similar to Model Y. I don't know. Like I'm trying to figure out if like noise from outside as I drive the car. I don't know. Like maybe I try to drive it on the expressway. I probably is more quieter in this.
So this one is really well isolated. So that's one thing that I've learned, that compared to Tesla, this one has the cabin. It's really well isolated and you can't really hear much from the outside. Also the tires, they're specific to the car, just like the Tesla probably too, and the rolling noise, you know, it's made to be as minimal as possible, but overall the entire cabin, it's got some really nice insulation.
Oh man, I like this.
Yeah, so
like
this car,
sound.
it's, you know, you don't know the specs because the idea was that you don't know much about the car, but it's got 610 horsepower, and I think yours has 517. Yours might be a little bit lighter, so maybe the gap, it's not as big, but this one, it's completely ridiculous fast when you floor it. I think you have 400 and something pounds-feet of torque, and I think this one has got 749, so almost double, I guess. So yeah, it's quite fast. I guess it goes from 0 to 60 in like low 3 seconds, and I think that your Model Y, the long range, is like 4 point something.
Driving wise, it's a bit smoother.
Because I think the Model Y, the steering, it's a little bit stiffer.
Yeah, it's more responsive, a little bit.
So we can go into the My modes, and now if I give you like the personal mode, now everything, it's even softer than that. So the steering wheel, it's a little bit softer, the suspension, it's softer. The overall car just feels not as dialed up, basically.
Oh yeah, you're right. To be honest, I like the fact on the electric car it is like immediately responsive, like this. It's nice. Let me see how we're gonna adjust the AC in the car. So I'm gonna start from here. Click here. All right, I got the stop sign. Again, I was distracted, like the same like in the Tesla. Let's say we want to go low here. Okay, I figured out that I need to press on this vents here to go left and right.
Does it feel easier than on a Tesla, or a little bit harder to adjust the AC controls?
It's about the same, and it's freaking annoying. Like to me, like it's very annoying.
Fair enough. So what do you think about the steering wheel?
It feels like a little bit grippier, and you know, like it's nicer to control. Like you told me, like I don't know how to hold the steering wheel. I was taught to drive like this, and I had to put my hands here to make
9
you happy.
and 3, or 3 and 9.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be, not 10 and 2.
Okay, so
that's the right way. That's the old school used to be 10 and 2.
Okay,
so this is the right way, and this is why, because a lot of the steering wheels have this notch right there.
Okay,
and the idea of the notch is to tell you that you're not supposed to grip it there. That's kind of like your thumb should not be touching that, basically, and that's why you have that notch to kind of stop you. But people think that they have the notch to actually hold on to it, but it's actually quite the opposite. All right, so push the car a little bit and tell me what you think.
Oh, nice.
So now you got
But-
some curvy roads here. So tell me if you feel the difference here, because now I'm
Yeah.
curious, because it's supposed to be a little bit sportier, clearly. Because
I feel like it's more in control. Like, I don't know, maybe the center mass is lower or something. It's not such a big difference, to be honest. At least for me, that like kind of drives casually.
Okay.
I like to push my Tesla every now and then.
So this one has the air suspension, yours has a steel spring suspension. Do you feel like this is a little bit softer, like when you go over these potholes and
Yeah,
imperfect
well,
roads?
definitely. Like, first of all, I'm not hearing as much noise as I hear in my Tesla. Every time I go over a pothole or like a bump in the road, feel like
You can hear
it
that
breaks
inside
my
the car.
car. It
Yeah.
stresses me out. This one is it's a bit like, it's not as much. I mean, like, you feel it a little bit, but it's not as much.
Do the brakes feel grippier too? You feel like you
Oh,
can
like,
brake a
let me-
lot faster? It will be a little bit bigger, so that should make a difference.
Yeah, so
when
now
you
we're
drive
in the
car.
mode where I don't need to press the brake.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, I never kind of try to brake like that in my Tesla because it tells me I'm not driving efficiently, or accelerate like that.
Every time you accelerate, you're definitely taking more
Yes.
electrons out of the battery pack. How many miles you're getting out of your Model Y, usually on a full charge?
So like if it's not too hot or too cold outside, I did get a exact range that they were advertising, about 320. I mean, it's probably less than they say 330, but it's like I got 320 on a
That's
long
a full
trip.
charge. Okay. I mean, that's quite efficient because I think the usable capacity on the battery it's about 75 kilowatts hours on yours, and essentially this one has got 105, so it's a lot larger battery pack. But your car, it's a little bit more efficient. It's probably a combination of the battery pack because you have the cylindrical batteries in there. So this one has the prismatic, which are actually flat and rectangular. That's a new generation that you have that BMW will also get. And you're getting better efficiency of the cylindrical cells. They can be, longer, shorter, and all of that. So this is why you're able to squeeze more miles out of your battery pack. I think this one does about 270 something on the EPA, but I think I managed to get close to 300. So definitely your car, it's a little bit more efficient when it comes to that. And that's one of the main advantages of the Tesla.
Yeah, full disclaimer, I got that when there was some traffic. I had to drive like between 40 and 50 sometimes, and I never pushed it beyond 70.
Yeah, I mean, that's ideal.
I find a truck, I'll drive behind it for some more aerodynamic.
Do you know the charging time from 10 to 80% on a supercharger?
From like 10 to 50 is like less than 20 minutes, but
Okay.
from 50 to 80 it takes a little bit longer. So
Which makes sense.
I think I should be able to charge that in half hour or maybe 40 minutes. So it's not as bad. So I kind of like the projected display because I don't need to take my eye off the road.
That's called a head-up display. So essentially a
Head-up
lot
display.
of premium cars have that head-up display.
Yeah.
And it's quite useful, especially for navigation. Keep track of everything in your
Yeah, it's
field
great.
of view, basically.
Seats are comfortable. I feel some lumbar support in the chair. I do have fun driving this one, to be honest.
You're getting used to it now.
I'm
huh?
getting used to it.
Is,
I don't know. Like, I mean, to me, like the best thing is the price-performance ratio, right? Like, I mean, it feels
Absolutely.
nice. Tesla is like almost like the people's type of car, right? It takes you from point A to point B. Actually, you can drive across the country with it because of the infrastructure and everything. So when I considered this, I was looking at our electric cars, but like I think they got the best infrastructure. I know that right now they're in an alliance with some other cars that you can charge at Tesla. Again, price
Absolutely.
was a good factor, right? I was like, that was within my budget range.
Okay, so tell me the highlight of this car for you.
So the highlight is this, the sound.
So you like the electric sound, but here is another one. So let me go into the sport
It's not
mode.
quite the electric, it's the kind of the gasoline type feeling to it, right?
Gotcha. Okay. I haven't heard that before, but I guess different people, different perceptions when it comes to the sound. But try now, because now it's got the sport mode, it's got a different sound.
Ooh.
So now sounds even more aggressive. So
Yeah,
that's the idea. I guess at some point they were saying that you're going to be able to actually download your own sounds. In the new BMWs that come out in 2025, you can actually compose your own sound. So if you use the accelerator and on the screen, you can go from an aggressive sound to a calm one, and you can actually make your own sound. Pull over somewhere, we'll swap out into the Model Y, and now it's my time to drive the car, so don't go anywhere. Tesla Model Y for the first time. Like I said earlier today, I drove the Model 3 and the S as well. So those are sedans, limousines, however you want to call them. But it's the first time being in the Model Y, which is one of the most popular models that Tesla sells, if not the most popular. First thoughts? Okay, so steering a little bit different, I guess, feels a little bit different. It's quite responsive, so that was unexpected by just doing this. Very, very different. It does feel a little bit heavier in hands. I don't know, the BMW one feels a little bit easier to maneuver, I guess. Or maybe this one, it's got the more aggressive driving mode. How do you adjust the driving mode? So you go...
So go here.
Okay, now let's do comfort and chill. I want to see what's the difference. Yeah, it's a little bit softer. Definitely feels different than a BMW one. I feel like the BMW, it's made to be more of a daily driver type of comfort. This one, it's a bit twitchier. So that's my first impression. The suspension, it's also completely different. So honestly, the moment that I started rolling, I realized that you can feel everything in the road in this car. I mean, everything comes to the seat, to the steering. It's definitely noisy inside compared to the BMW iX. I mean, that's a really, really quiet car. Now I realize how quiet that car really is. It just feels like a limousine, honestly, like a BMW 7 Series. But yeah, the suspension, of course, you cannot beat the air suspension. Every time you have that in a car, especially in a heavy car, it makes such a huge difference. It absorbs the shocks on the road quite well. It travels over imperfect road perfectly. Well, when you have this one, you will absolutely feel anything that's on the road. So that's one of the biggest differences right now between the cars. Clearly, the iX will not be as efficient as this one when it comes to range and everything else, but it's really more about first time experience for a BMW driver in a Model Y and first time experience for a Tesla guy in a BMW iX. So the car feels a little bit sportier overall. Clearly, you're getting more feedback through the steering wheel. It feels like on the sporty side of things that you'd expect. It also feels quite fast, honestly, so I don't think the extra, 80, 90 horsepower in the iX makes such a huge difference because this car, it's a little bit lighter, so you know, it just literally takes off. Braking, it's also a little bit different. Feels like it's not as aggressive as in the BMW iX. In the M60, as soon as you lift off the gas pedal or the accelerator, now the gas pedal, then the car will almost immediately stop. It's actually quite a fun car. It's actually not bad at all. You can actually push this car, have some fun.
Right now, after driving your car, I can definitely feel the bumps and stuff.
The suspension.
Also the noise. I had the feeling about it, but like going back from your car to my car, like now I'm 100% sure.
So now you get it while you pay a little bit more. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, you know.
I mean, it's a different customer base, so very rarely you see a BMW or Mercedes customer cross shopping with a Tesla, maybe as a second car. But I feel like, you know, if their main car, it's supposed to be luxurious and premium, they'll always look at one of the German brands first and then maybe a Tesla. But then again, of course, you know, we mentioned that before, it's also the price point is completely different. So it's expected to have a lot more luxury and a lot more refinement in a car like the, you know, BMW iX, for example. But yeah, if you drive this a lot more in the city, I promise you that you'll love that air suspension, especially when you're in the back seat with kids and everything else. It is extremely smooth. I've even done a test where I went over some speed bumps and the camera was filming in slow motion. As you can see, as the car just kind of floats on top of that speed bump, you almost don't even feel it. It's pretty amazing, honestly.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, like, again, you need to have some OCD in you to kind of spend that type of money, if you ask me.
Or a lot of people want a comfortable daily driver, basically, so they might not care maybe about the efficiency. They can charge at home, so they just want the most comfortable, most silent car, most luxurious car, and this is why they buy the more expensive car. But other than that, I mean, it's a little bit annoying to have this screen right here, so I have to see when BMW does the same thing with their new cars, because I'm so used to seeing things in front of me right here, either the speedometer, sometimes you have the augmented reality right here, which is quite cool because you kind of know where you're going and what you're doing. And then of course the head-up display, it's so good. Honestly, I definitely miss it right now because I constantly have to look on the right side and it's just not as easy as looking straight ahead. So that would be one cool feature if Tesla would offer. But steering wheel, I do like the round one, honestly. I was never a huge fan of the one in the BMW iX, so to me this one feels great. I also like it because it's a little bit smaller, so I feel like it's a little bit easier to maneuver than the big one in the BMW iX.
Actually, I felt that when I did a 90-degree turn, that I was...
You got to move your hand
all over, yeah.
So this one, definitely drives a little bit nicer when it comes to that.
when you turn the signal on, you get the side camera going. Turn right now, you turn the signal to the right. You see what's on your right. The one thing that although you gotta be aware of is like, depending how tall you are and whatnot, when you have a car on your side and you turn the signal, you're gonna get a red band on the side of the screen. But depends how tall you are, you may not see that red band because of the steering wheel. So you gotta.
Do you get a feedback in the steering that there is somebody in your blind spot?
That I wish they had that. I don't think the steering wheel vibrates.
Okay.
But unless they'll do apply corrective steering, then it vibrates.
Gotcha. Because in that car, in the iX, basically, if there is somebody in my blind spot and I'm trying to change lanes, it will actually start to vibrate, and I'm also getting an alert in the side mirror. So there is a little light in there that's kind of flash as well that alerts you too. So that's one way to detect the car in your blind spot. But yeah, I totally get it. I guess if you do this and the camera comes there, also depends how sure you are. You might be, the steering wheel might be hiding that screen, so it's obstructing a little bit that view. So I can see why it can be a little bit annoying.
So what are your final thoughts?
So honestly, I still think it's a good car, right? I mean, there are a few shortcomings compared to the iX, and I might be a little bit biased, clearly, right? I mean, I spend so much time with BMW cars, and I do have, a soft spot for these cars. But honestly, for the money that you're paying, the Model Y, it's a good car. It's quite spacious. You said you have, space for 7 people in it, so you're getting a small third row. So if you need to use that for sure distance, that's quite cool. The iX only has 5 seats, so essentially you are limited by that. Once again, I'm going to mention the suspension, so that's one of the major deltas, differences between the two cars. But driving experience, it's quite similar. It's an electric car. It's supposed to be fast in straight line. It's supposed to do that instant acceleration like all the cars. Of course, the power delivery might be a little bit different from car to car. The applications are different. Some cars, they like to be a little bit smoother when they accelerate. Some are a little bit more brutal. And I think Tesla is known for having that neck snap in acceleration usually. And, this is why you're getting, 2 seconds from 0 to 60 in some of these insane Model S cars and even Model 3s. So that's probably one of the the biggest differences. That car feels more like a luxury big car that's not supposed to be ridiculous fast and break your neck as you accelerate. But yeah, I mean, this is fun, man. This is not bad. This is not bad, honestly. All right, so before we hop out and do a quick conclusion on these two cars, final thoughts. Sure, for the money, it's a really good car. I feel like they've nailed this one. It's quite practical as well. It's a good family car. Naturally, inside doesn't look as premium, as luxurious as some of the German brands, and that's to be expected as well. But for the price point, I think this is still a very compelling product. Of course, the competition will get a lot tougher for Tesla in the next few years. Every single major brand has an electric SUV crossover coming out, so we'll see how they compare in the future. But for now, yeah, I guess not a bad car, man. It's really not a bad car. I still prefer mine, but we can talk about that as we hop outside. So let's do that. All right, so we hopped outside the car because we want to talk about the design of the BMW iX. So I'm going to ask Chris some questions. So first off, tell me what you like about the front end of the car. Let's start with that.
Yeah, I think this thing is a little bit too big and it kind of looks fake. I wish it would be like have a real feeling to it. Like if I touch it, I could just get like a nice texture on my hands.
Okay, so compared to your Tesla, which doesn't have a kidney grille, do you feel like you like that one a lot better because this one looks more like an eggshell type of design versus this one that looks more like a car?
Yeah, this one looks a little bit more like a car. Although it's an electric, it could look like a true gasoline car with like some, I don't know, a better look.
Like an open grille and something that looks a bit more sporty.
Like that, yeah. I do feel like the Tesla is probably more aerodynamic than this one just by looking at them. But
it could be, yeah. I mean, it probably is, honestly, because the shape is a little bit more coupe-ish and all of that, and it's meant to be a little bit more dynamic. So that's a very, very good point. Anything else that you like on the car?
It looks a little bit nicer, and I like the lights. The front lights, they look pretty cool, yeah.
So let me tell you why I'm asking you this, because a lot of people call the Tesla an appliance. They say it's like an appliance, it's a utility, it's not a real car design. Do you feel the same way about your car?
I just need my car to drive to and from work and have a good mileage. That's all I care about my car.
But if these two cars would be priced at the same price point, which one would you buy? Let's just by looking at them, no driving experience, no anything.
Probably buy this one. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So should I give you my feedback on your car?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I've always liked the Model Y. I feel like it's probably one of their best designs when it comes to the lineup. It looks like a coupe-ish crossover, which is quite cool. Clearly, it's a little bit smaller than mine, But overall, it's your typical Tesla design. Those guys don't really change too much. Of course, I'm not a fan because doesn't have an identity yet, like the BMW with the kidney grille and all of that, and the lights and everything else that you said. But I think overall they've done a better job on this one than on the Model X. I would say even probably better than on the Model S, which is even more like an eggshell. So overall, I don't really knock down the design over Tesla, but I feel like they don't have an identity yet, and they might have it in the future. So with that being said, how about we hop inside right now and talk about the interior design and what you like about that car versus this one. All right, so here we go inside the iX. Tell me your first thoughts, and then I'm gonna ask you some questions.
All right, so I definitely like that you got more like wide and two screens rather like a square screen in the middle. It just looks a bit nicer. I like computers, so this is nice. It's interesting that I see some analog controls more than Tesla has. Like I need to go on the screen to actually adjust how the air goes for my Tesla.
The direction of the fan.
The direction of the fan. And I'm like, to be honest, I am not a fan of this. And I think I see that you have to go to control climate from the touch screen. And that's my feedback for, I don't know, any car. That's like much easier when you drive to actually, have some analog.
So that's a good point because a lot of people, BMW people, complain about the lack of those physical buttons there to control that. So that's a very good point. And funny enough, a lot of people think that BMW and other brands copy Tesla by moving everything into the digital screen. So it sounds like it's not a good idea.
I don't think it's a good idea. There's research on, I talked to a lot of people that they don't like to actually move hands and touch screens. You have to do 3 or 4 clicks to adjust the climate. So it's like that takes your attention off the road. So no usability. Yeah, for sure.
As far as quality, do you feel like it's better quality inside the iX than the Tesla?
Yeah, it feels nice. The chairs looks more comfortable. The first thing I was trying to adjust the chair and I was trying to put my hand down and I have no room to put my hand down. But then I was thinking, it's like, it does feel that I probably maximizes the space a little bit better.
So the seat feels bigger?
The seat feels bigger. So now, I mean, it was confusing to me, but I think you get used to it, like moving the seat back and forth and so on.
Yeah, it's got the shape of a seat, so essentially once you get used to it, you can recline, you can move it up and down also by pushing down or up.
It looks nice. What I like is, like, again, talking about touch screens, you got some buttons that probably eventually, once you get used to, like in the Tesla, I adjust my chair here, then I need to save the profile. It looks like you have a button to save the profile on the
So do you like that, basically?
Yeah, like for this, you don't adjust it while you drive it, so it's not that important, but like anything that you could adjust during driving, like maybe 3 or 4 times during a ride, I feel like that should be analog. Gotcha. Just from a usability perspective.
So before I go into your car and talk about that, let me ask you a final question. When you bought your Tesla, were you even like concerned about the quality of the materials inside, the luxury? Because a lot of the BMW guys or Mercedes guys or Porsche guys, the first time they go into the car, they look at these things. Is it luxurious enough? Is it premium enough? Am I paying for high quality leather? Am I touching the dashboard and it feels good? Would you like to be more in a car like this or more like in a Tesla? If money no object.
Well, if money no object, probably a car like this. But I don't mind the Tesla.
Gotcha.
Okay, Horatiu, tell me now what you think about my car.
I mean, clearly it looks more simplistic, so you don't have the large curved display. Definitely you don't have any switch. I didn't realize that there are no switches at all. I mean, basically just the door controls, the windows, and of course the stock here. But yeah, it's pretty bare bone. It doesn't feel premium, clearly. That's something that I already knew from the other Tesla. So not just look-wise, but also when you touch it, you can feel it's not the same type of materials. Even the leather on the seats and here, clearly a step lower than the BMW. Of course, it's not fair to compare them because this is a cheaper car than that one. The steering, same thing. I mean, quality-wise, it's kind of weird looking, honestly. And you're absolutely right. You even know what these things do. There is no label on it. So
only the hunk, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's just really, really bizarre to see that. Typical Tesla, I guess, like you said, it's a utility car. So people that buy this one, they don't care too much about the luxury aspect of it. The big screen, yes. I mean, funny enough, BMW is moving towards this as well. So they're going away from the curved display. But a lot of people feel like this is actually a lot better. I do like the fact that we had the central display right behind the steering wheel. So to me, that's quite useful because I don't have to take my eyes off the road when I want to look at the speedometer and all of that. When it comes to quality, materials, and of course the seats, like you said, they're a little bit narrow, so thigh support, it's not as great, just like the iX doesn't have really great thigh support. So I have a wireless charger like underneath here.
Okay.
And I'm assuming yours is right
Yes,
there, which
right
is
here.
nice because that's really cool to be able to put it there. But I do hate the fact that it has this center console here because mine doesn't. So it's kind of like a floating console, and essentially you have storage space right here. So that's quite nice. It's also easy if you want to move, if you want to get out of the car from on that side. Let's say somebody's parked too close to your side, you can do that. With this one, you clearly can't. Honestly, I do like the fact that the iX has an open space here. You can store things down there. It just feels a lot roomier, even my legs when I spread. So I do like that quite a bit in the BMW iX. All right, so here we are. So I got my car back. You got your car back. Which one would you pick?
I would pick probably that one. Like, but
Are you gonna give up your baby man and go for this one? Are you gonna,
again, I'm
are
not
you gonna
a
be a
fanboy.
trader? You're not a Tesla fanboy?
Give it to me for a price of the Tesla. I'll get that one. I mean, to me, it's not worth the extra money because, like I said, I'm not like, I want to spend the least amount of time in the car and more time outside. So. Gotcha.
Okay, fair enough. So once again, this was a quick comparison of the two cars. The idea today was not really to compare performance, even the range and all of that. As you saw, we've been driving around quite a bit. And we haven't even done our homework before to learn all the features in both cars and compare them. So this was really more of an idea. Let's get a Tesla driver inside a BMW and see what he thinks about a car, and also get a BMW guy inside the Tesla and tell you his thoughts on that car. And that's exactly what I did, because once again, like I said, I never driven that car before. It took me a little bit of time to adjust to all the settings and the driving, all of that. But overall, really just drives like an electric car, really. I mean, it's easy to drive in the city. It's practical. This one is just a little bit more expensive, and I guess many ways maybe the nicer car, you know. All right, so hopefully we haven't offended any Tesla fanboys, even though you don't associate yourself as being a fanboy. I am maybe a little bit of a BMW fanboy, but I can be quite objective, and hopefully that's something they came across in this video, because I really wanted to see what this Model Y is all about. As I said earlier in the video, it really is one of the most popular electric cars on the road, if not the most popular one, not just from Tesla, but overall. And clearly they push the envelope in many ways. And this is why you see other brands, you know, doing similar battery packs and all of that. But that's something that we're going to talk in the future. Hopefully we do a full range test with both cars. Ideally, we will go on the same route, and then you can really see the efficiency of this one versus the other one. This was more of a non-scientific test and more to get your, you know, feel on this car, and I do the same with yours. So hopefully you had some fun with the BMW iX as well.
For sure, it was fun. Definitely, I had fun. I didn't think it's gonna be that cool.
All right, guys. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.